Well, and he's trying to breathe. It's an exercise. So I'm in this state and they tell me, just relax, let go, go to hell. For an hour and a half, I thought that I didn't have the right to die because there is... If there wasn't, I realized it's such a motivation to do anything. I torpedoed and fired immediately.
And everything went smoothly for you, didn't it?
That's how it is, damn it. I had the same kind of drive wake up inside me. I worked all my life, had zero in my account, and I was fine with it. Earned, spent, earned, spent. Well, I don't know. Did you have a period like that in your life?
There was a period, yes.
Earned a lot, and immediately spent it all. And so it goes on endlessly.
I usually spent everything, invested in something, and there was nothing left of me.
Look, you were smart about it. You invested. I didn't invest. I just spent. And here's the thing. After that, I just couldn't allow myself to do it morally. For me, it became like, no, my friend.
Could you dim the light a bit, or is it better to leave it as is?
I think you'll get used to it. I'll just explain it to you. It's still okay. Sometimes it just hits like this. Let's give it 20, 30 minutes. If it's too intense, then here. Yes, okay, let's do that. Maybe half an hour later, I'll ask you to make it a bit easier. Easier because my eyes hurt. Yes, but the camera... Yes, I know. That's why. I'll ask him to hold on a bit. Maybe he can manage. Let's start. Okay, action. Okay, here we go. We chatted backstage, discussed many different family matters and so on. Hasan, I suggest you imagine that this is your first appearance on the internet. I can definitely describe you as a serial entrepreneur. Self-made man, businessman, human man, a person. But I just can't imagine. Even back then, when we talked 2 years ago, I was already afraid to delve into how much business you had. I don't even try now. Please tell me, what are you working on?
I'll probably start with the main activity. The main company I initially worked with is initially in electronics distribution. Everything that is supplied to NVIDIA stores, technoparks, and CityLink in Russia is supplied by us. We are a top 5 electronics supplier in Russia.
Don't be shy. Who are we? Name your company.
Alexan Group is a group of companies. This is the main business, and alongside this business, I have already opened other directions which are completely different. The latest project, for example, is that we are currently building a business center where, on Lobachevsky in Moscow, the business center consists of 2 towers like in Moscow City, each with 30 floors. This is one of the projects. We also have the largest premium car rental service in Russia. It includes Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce.
I saw you posted at the Institute. Yes. Listen, you are 24 years old now.
Yes, that's correct.
Well, that's impossible. What the hell are you talking about? What Lobachevsky Business Center? How did you come to this life? You have a rich dad who organized everything for you, understand?
You drift through life.
Well, tell me. You told me before, but the camera wasn't on then. Please tell me how you came to Moscow, what it was all about. We can say hi to Amiran later.
Yes, Sadarov. Yes. Actually, I am from a small town, the town of Yaranska, Kirov region. I lived there until I was 18. It's a town with a population of 10,000 people. There's basically nothing there at all. There are no movie theaters, nothing. Just 1 park and 2 schools where you study. That's all.
There are literally no residential buildings behind. It just costs $3.
A maximum of 5 floors, and that's considered a VIP area. Otherwise, there are 2-story and 3-story buildings.
We need to buy it, come over, and just buy the whole city.
By the way, I thought about it when I lived there.
Immediately.
At 18, I decided to move to St. Petersburg. Actually, it wasn't even 18, I already wanted to. At 16, I started watching Amiran Sardarov when I was 16. I watched him hanging out in Moscow, all those events, clubs, and some celebrities. And I always dreamed of having a life like that. I even have it there. We can insert a personal message later. I showed myself better. I wrote to him saying that Amiran was there. I read all his books about 10 times. And I wrote to him saying, Amiran, give me some advice. I want to move to a big city. I don't know what to do. I was really scared. Imagine you've lived your whole life in one place. Never going beyond it, never visiting big cities. I haven't even been to big cities once. I was naturally scared to move, but I understood that I needed to step out of my comfort zone. This is one of the key things. It's just putting yourself in circumstances where you simply have to survive. You won't have any other options. That's basically what I did. I moved to St. Petersburg.
How old were you? 18.
18. I had absolutely nothing. And at first, I was just looking for a job. I started looking on a headhunter and got a job at Delivery Club as a courier with a green backpacker. It was tough.
You need a cinematic scene where you hand someone a Lambo and the person takes it and says, wait, he delivered pizza to me 5 years ago. Yes.
But I worked there for only one day because
I am very interesting. Why?
I put on this whole uniform, a green backpack, and I'm just riding the metro, and there's a reflection on the left. I look at myself, and I really just felt embarrassed. Not embarrassed to work, that's the opposite, but I felt sad for myself that I'm working as a courier right now instead of trying to do something else, because I had a completely different picture in my head, but out of desperation, I had to work to earn something. So basically, I worked there for one day, delivered one order, and even then I was late. I was figuring out the app while I was getting to the customer, and then this guy was rude to me because I was late. It pissed me off so much, I just threw the pizza on the table and walked out in uniform.
Only one person can say that they actually delivered pizza to me, but it was small.
And that's it. And then I came and said, well, guys, I can't work. And I started looking for another job and stumbled upon this sales manager position, kind of sales manager, direct sales. Like you have to approach people on the street and basically sell them some kind of story. So I worked there for a month. What did we do there? We were setting up subscriptions for people, like charging them 1,000 rubles a month. This is mostly about hiring for the games. Yes, direct sales. Imagine, I go out now, for example, to a shopping mall and start saying, hey, there's Arsen Margarine, subscribe to this, subscribe to the base.
Direct sales.
And people subscribed to it and monitored it. But the theme was not quite the same. It was related to sales. And I spent a month on this. And at the same time, I was thinking about what to do, as I wanted to start something of my own, and I was living in a dormitory. Back then, I had also enrolled in the physical education program at St. Petersburg State University.
Look, there's a pause now. How many main business directions do you have at the moment? You mentioned 2, 24, 24.
24 businesses, yes?
Look, now they will start talking nonsense, saying the number is made up. I can say anything. Can you list them? This.
Of course, I can do everything. I have a list in my notes. Go for it. Come on, go for it.
I even wrote it down on purpose because, you know, it's like a father with many children who has 17 wives and he physically can't remember the names of his kids, so he asks for name tags on the network.
Here are the networks. The first business is wholesale electronics distribution. The second is online stores. We also have ones with electronics. Wholesale distribution is wholesale selling. When you sell to NVIDIA, and this is directly yourself. And this is directly yourself. We have our own retail stores and a franchise.
But you say we. Do you have some co-owners?
I am only one.
Are you joining the company now?
Yes, well, I always say we, like a team. Also, we have a separate direction for trading on marketplaces. That's when you just sell on Wildberries, Yandex, Ozon, and so on. Premier Cars Car Rental, we are the largest in Russia. We have a portfolio of about 2 billion rubles now. That's just cars. We have a logistics company. We transport goods from Dubai and Hong Kong to Russia and back as well.
Is parallel import implemented?
Yes. Actually, what I started making a lot of money from and what gave me a huge boost was parallel import. When all this started, imagine, I'll explain to you how it used to work. Previously, NVIDIA, Technoparks, CityLink, all the major stores used to order directly from Apple and to get a better price. Imagine they needed to surpass the turnover zone. They were given the best prices. But when all the supply chains were cut off, all these stores were left without goods. They don't know that they have such large companies, and to build something or bring it in, they need to completely change their entire business structure.
And they still don't understand if this is for the long term or not, whether they need to change or not.
It's unclear. And for the first year and a half, they didn't understand what to do at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you been translating this for a long time? Of course, we are talking. That's it. So those who worry that they can't start their own business because there are giants, they don't understand that giants are slow moving.
100%. Look, this is one of the key points. And when the market changed, the giants simply had no goods. And those who are average, those guys who were transporting and doing something, basically they were already doing it and nothing changed for them. And before that, I was also bringing goods from Dubai. I just started selling to Nvidia in the Technopark. They sent me advance payments. Ozone sent me 400, 500 million in advance so that I could bring them the goods.
So you understand.
And Azon, for example, a bunch of suppliers dropped someone for 1.5 billion. I was 22 years old then.
22 years old, where Arsen dropped 500 million up front. How does it feel? Pretty cool, right?
I came to this step by step. And now I'll explain the key reasons why I grew so quickly. Now I'll talk about business and list them. But this is exactly the key story that, so if it weren't for the European sanctions, well, I would have developed more slowly, yes.
So it was like a springboard. You were ready. Yes, it was like a springboard. So to clarify, luck in a Jewish way is when opportunity meets preparation. If you hadn't been prepared, 100%.
Of course, if I were just like that, the topic of parallel import came up and I didn't understand it, I would have entered, and by the time I figured it out, well, the market would already be gone. But when you just keep moving, constantly doing some kind of business, opportunities keep coming. But if you are moving constantly in this direction, what are you doing? And without preparation, of course, you don't need to constantly look for topics. You need to choose a niche that you enjoy, like I did. Before getting into distribution, I opened cafes, opened stores, I had all sorts of things.
Look, businessmen, they come in different types. There are businessmen who are visionaries, and there are businessmen who are brilliant managers, like they hire all the best people and then relax in the Seychelles. If I understand you correctly, you are like a mega logistician. You know how to connect certain things together and they stick to you. Am I right?
That's right. I am very knowledgeable about different business schemes. I can integrate one business with another. For example, I have a lot of friends and acquaintances. I intentionally increase the number of people around me and build these networks.
How many do you have, you know? I have about 20 main contacts. How many main contacts do you have that you interact with during the month?
Is it hundreds? Are we counting employees or are these just some partners?
No, that's not what I meant at all. You completely misunderstood what I was trying to say. Let me explain it more clearly. I was trying to convey a different point.
There are up to 100 people with whom I constantly communicate. They are always changing. You go through a certain stage, you grow, you outgrow, for example, and you lose contact. Yes, employees can handle that contact there. They are already communicating, but it falls out of the personal. Yes, it falls out of the personal.
As I listened to you, I realized that there are two things I want to highlight for our viewers. Two things that many things help businessmen, but these two things are essential. The first is flexibility. The second is the speed of adaptation.
Yes, and the speed of decision-making.
Speed of decision-making, urgency.
For example, recently there were articles in the well-known magazines Forbes and RBC about my purchase of a stake in the company Apart Sharing. This company specializes in contactless apartment rentals. For example, you can use an app like Airbnb, but right now, none of that is available in Russia. For example, when you book, you have to come, find a key somewhere or sign a contract, enter a password, but here everything is fully automated in the app. The door opens through the app. A smart home is present inside some houses. And the system for those who rent out these apartments is fully automated. I invested $10 million in this business. You know how I got into it? So I have this barber I go to for haircuts, and I just gave him a task. He constantly cuts the hair of all sorts of celebrities and businessmen. I told him, ask everyone what they do, and if there's an interesting project, let me know. And he just basically says, there's this guy, something about apartment rentals, he's got some app, he made it big, used to come in one car, now he's in another, like things are going well for him. And I was like, well, interesting, I need to get acquainted. So I just get the contact, make a call, we meet, have 1 or 2 meetings. I didn't even audit the company, nothing. I just say, all right, let's go. I'll invest the money and let's go.
10 million on black?
Yes, that's all. I just have a knack for understanding people. I don't know. Some people have it. I'm a very empathetic person. Like, I can always feel when a person is telling the truth or not. I have a strong sense for people. And because of that, it's easy for me to determine.
I just had an interesting podcast. I won't spoil it. It will be released later, but it's unknown. For those in the know, he is well known, but he is not in the public eye like the media personalities who run channels on YouTube and all that. I asked him how he chooses where to invest, what he does, and he gave me a surprising answer. He says, I don't care what the niche is, I look at the person. The niche might be unpromising or little known, but if it's taken on by someone who stands by their word, Why do you care what the niche is? He stands by his word and he tells you, you give me this much, I'll return this much by such and such time.
Absolutely.
What difference does it make what niche it is? A person.
Well, if you do, you will learn to identify, and this ability to choose people, it's not something you're born with right away. It's intuition. And intuition is essentially your previous experience that you've had in life. And intuition, it's like a muscle, it develops. And the more you deal with people, the more you get deceived, tricked here and there, and you start to understand people better.
Conclude.
Yes, drawing conclusions is the main thing. And reflecting on this topic, the more negative or positive emotions you experience internally, the more it will be ingrained in your brain.
What red flags do you have? Like, you notice a person and you say, that's a deal breaker. I'm not going into a partnership with them anymore.
But for me, for example, when I meet someone, I just analyze how people, for instance, even interact with waiters.
What would turn you off about a potential partner?
What will put me off is if a person considers themselves above others. For example, in a situation where they are sitting with me, talking, essentially offering me some kind of business and adjusting to me, he still takes a subordinate position and says, I have a project there, why don't you invest, help out, and so on. And a waiter comes up, for example, and he talks to him, you didn't bring me this, you were 5 minutes late, or things like that. It immediately gives me a negative impression. I just love partnering with down-to-earth people who, even when they have billions, behave very simply.
Adequate.
Do I understand correctly that you are looking to see if a person is fidgety, spineless, or slippery?
On a subconscious level, I just understand it already. Am I right in understanding that you look at whether a person is fidgety, spineless, or somewhat slippery if I notice something like that about them?
100%, yes. This is also important.
Strength is important. Straightforwardness.
Straightforwardness. That's something I really value in people. If I see that a person speaks directly, whether it's true or not, without smoothing things over, like here, where everyone tries to be nice to everyone.
We want to give an example. This is the most absurd example in my life. And I understand why communication with people is so difficult. I checked in. It was one of the best hotels in Samara. I needed to stay there for a while. So I brought in a treadmill. Like, I walk and watch YouTube in the room. I'm trying to connect the laptop, damn it. And I've tried this way and that way, both wireless and wired. It's not responding, damn it. I can't understand what the hell is going on. I struggled for 5 days, couldn't take it anymore, went downstairs and said, like, why isn't the laptop connecting? Can you connect it? They say it was the spring. Of 22, and in January of this year, we disabled this feature. So the TV can only work independently of the installer. But you can connect to your alarm clock in the room via Bluetooth and listen to your favorite music. I'm just sitting here thinking, damn, why do I need this information? Why did she tell me that it was turned off in January when I was staying in that room in February? Why? I mean, she could have just said it was never available, their company policy, we can't. So if a potential business partner said that to me, I would cut him off immediately. I say, we can produce this many tons. And he tells me, no, we can't produce this many tons, but 200 milligrams. I say, no, that's it. So when a person tries to make such moves, it's fine. Let's continue listing the businesses.
All right. I knew the phone would come in handy for you. So that was the last one. Here's car rental. And by the way, people can use all these services. Like, well, it's not just that we talk about it and that. We encourage and take advantage of it. Yes, we encourage, yes. You can rent a car from us in Moscow. You can order logistics from us in production. Here, take it. There's an exchange office, currency, dollars, euros, USD there in Moscow, right? USDT, it is a fintech company. We deal with cross-border payments. One of the current problems is that Russian companies cannot make payments in foreign currencies. However, we have a company through which these payments can be made. For example, you opened a company in Dubai, created its branch in Russia, and through it, you can make payments to other countries. And in doing so, we help oil traders and coal miners who cannot make payments abroad or have received payments back.
In general, this political crisis has opened a window, a space, opportunities for a huge number of small and medium-sized players. How do you explain this to me? If it weren't for this, there would be a rigid status quo. Everyone would be in their places, large banks with large businesses.
100%, yes. This created an opportunity for large businesses to step aside and allow other players to come in, because it is very difficult for large businesses to adapt right now.
They were sanctioned because they are visible. And they became dependent on those who are invisible.
Yes, and they are now paying crazy commissions just to process some payments.
At least something, so that...
Yes, imagine, for example, some oil traders can send 2, 3, 5 billion rubles a day, and you can take a 2% commission from them, and earn on the commission.
An old Jewish joke comes to mind. A Jewish boy asks his wealthy Jewish father, "Dad, how did we become so rich?" He says, "Well, Izya, how did we? You're still little. It's not for you to know. Go to the kitchen and bring me some butter from the fridge." Izya ran to the kitchen, got some butter and brought it back. Dad says, "I changed my mind, take it back." He takes it back, returns and says, "Dad, what was that all about?" He says, "Izya, you see, you brought the oil and took it back, but it stayed on your fingers." This is very reminiscent. This is indeed a commission story. Did you know that Elon Musk bought Twitter more than a year ago? Do you remember the amount?
$40 billion.
$44 billion.
Dollars.
Attention, question. I'm not talking about how much taxes. I'm not talking about anything else. How much was the bank transfer fee?
4 billion.
Like how much? 2 or 4? No, well, that's just too much. But still, it's $200 million more dollars. For some reason, I saw somewhere that there was some kind of commission. No, it could have been something related to taxes or something else. Just like a bank transfer, when you transfer from Sberbank to Sberbank, like it used to be...
$200 million.
Once again, a $200 million commission for the bank transfer. So if he had cashed out in crypto, and this is exactly to the point that someone, for example, is proud all their life that they have a fortune, and they have the right to be proud of 200 million over their lifetime. And for someone, it's the fee for a single bank transfer. In this game, there are levels, simply put. In this game, there are levels.
No matter how big you are, there is always someone bigger.
No. Well, no. There are various Arab people whose wealth no one will ever count. Their wealth is measured in trillions, and nobody knows who they are, where they are, or how they are. The wealth of VV is also unclear on how to count. Well, yeah, the classic calculations don't work there, starting with the fact that he kind of has an army, which yes, or maybe just a bit. This is also a certain capitalization, so yes, please continue.
So yes, next, the service center. Since we are essentially dealing with electronics, we needed a service center so that when people's devices break, we can replace them there. And we also do this for customers. If your iPhone breaks, you bring it in and we fix it there. We have our own academy for marketplace trading. Essentially, we teach people how to trade on marketplaces and then they trade our products on those marketplaces. So you have an ecosystem. Yes, an ecosystem. By the way, I have an Alexan ecosystem. It's an entire ecosystem of businesses. They complement each other in one way or another. For example, why a logistics company? Because we, for instance, used someone else's services, overpaid for it, and decided to create our own. Why did we create, for example, a fintech company to handle cross-border payments? Because we were paying commissions to the same types. Why should we pay?
And we did everything us.
And additionally, besides involving your family in it, you also attract additional clients to it.
They can move from one end to the other in terms of businesses.
Yes, and they can. For some, for example, we are currently handling the purchasing of goods, logistics, and payments, and we take commissions for everything, earning a lot of money because we provide the entire cycle for people.
How noticeable and visible are you? You mentioned that Forbes already wrote an article. RBC wrote yes. I'm asking this because I'm not really into traditional solid business. You're working with Orlov now, and you went to Marbella.
Yes, we are opening restaurants. We are opening them in Moscow and planning to open in Europe as well. We also looked at a project.
Is a restaurant in 2024 a profitable business?
It's not quite profitable.
Is it for image?
It's about the image. Right now, I've reached a period where I've mostly been in the shadows, kind of working, but not really focusing on my personal brand. Remember, we discussed back then that I was planning to work on my personal brand. And I just need to appear in the media now to further scale the projects, as we are, for example, going public with one of the projects. We will be launching this apartment sharing project with contactless rental. An IPO is essentially when your company's shares go public, you have to promote it.
The stronger your brand, the more authoritative and reliable it is, which directly impacts the company.
100%. Elon Musk, that
He buy Twitter.
But how did he buy Twitter? He practically didn't use his own money to buy it. The person is so personally skilled that he just attracted everyone, simply said, let's buy Twitter. And everyone joined in. He either pledged or sold his own shares. I don't remember, but he bought it. Just like he does with crypto, for example. He just mentions some coin on Twitter and it causes thousands of rifts.
And he doesn't write anything directly. He doesn't have the right. He hinted.
Yes, and this is essentially a personal brand. When I realized this and understood how I could capitalize my business by being in the media and by having people in general, I forgot to tell you how we met.
You came to me for a personal introduction in 22.
Yes, and I remember how it was. At first, he was the base there already. Or not yet.
It was 1.5, 2 months.
Yes, it had just appeared back then, but I mostly watched on YouTube. I just typed in Arsen Markarian motivation. And in the database, I then saw something about walking. I walked for 2-3 hours every day. I went to the botanical garden in Moscow. And I constantly listened to where you were talking, yes, the video clips, and they really motivated me hard. I changed a lot in my life because of this. I started taking supplements because of you. This one, the year I started studying. And watching your activities gave me a huge boost in my niche.
I saw it. I will immediately have 30. I was shocked. I was glancing over, seeing what you were doing. I was already, looking like this, thinking maybe I didn't understand something, why it is like that for you and not for me.
Yes, and those people who I find appealing and I want to either partner with them or start communicating with them, a direct approach. Yes, a direct approach.
I wrote right away. Remember, we agreed. It's like in pickup. If you like a girl, approach her immediately. Don't beat around the bush. Get her number or something.
Yes, indeed.
We talked for 2 days. We were in Batumi.
2 days, yes. I remember I flew in, we talked there, you gave me marshmallows, we were taking supplements, drinking that sweet tea to make it go down better.
It was a very productive brainstorming session, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. I even have a voice recorder from that time, and I listen to it sometimes.
Listen, I have to tell you that since then, everyone who signed up for my personal coaching hasn't achieved as much. So you just came, bluntly took everything that was there, and for me, it was the biggest cultural shock. For me as a person, you will understand what I'm saying now. Although it's not your profession to explain things to people, it's very unpleasant when you explain something to someone and then they don't do anything with it. Has that ever happened to you? Yes, it has. Like, how am I supposed to teach business? You sit down, break it down, show them, and they just listen, but in the end, do nothing. For me, the biggest shock was that you, being a busy person, already have a business, you have a lifestyle and all that. You implemented just about everything. You implemented that damn hyperbaric chamber, those supplements, all that walking. I was just sitting and thinking, damn, is it really possible? It happens that they listen to you and just do it.
That's exactly how it was for me. One of the key pieces of advice that really helped me at the time was freeing up my mental resources by delegating tasks to assistants.
Didn't you have any assistants back then?
Yes, I currently have 6 assistants working there.
Was there not even one?
I had a semi-assistant back then.
Was it that girl who did absolutely nothing? Yes.
And then I realized that I was just filling my neural resources with some kind of junk and I needed to free them up as much as possible. At that time, I was deeply involved in operations.
And not in the business operations, but in the operations of his everyday life.
And in the business operations too, I was then very...
And now you are at the height of a flight engineer.
And now I hardly participate anywhere, just in some strategic decisions. And that gave me such an awareness.
I have 2 proposals for you right away. First, we need to conduct a joint training, a business training. Let's educate people. You and I will make a duo like Business Youth. I'll be the emotional one. You'll be the factual one. Secondly, I'm currently opening my own supplement store and think outside of our friendship, purely from a business perspective, how it would be profitable for you to invest. I want to go into it very seriously. I invested $1.5 million there, but I would like to invest even more. You will understand me. Today is a very rare conversation. All my conversations, whether podcasts or something else, are either with non-business people or with businessmen who are, let me put it this way. I don't mean to offend. Kind-hearted, and we are very predatory, you and I. Can you imagine, so to speak? Let's draw it out. At the beginning of this year, in the database, I'm saying this now, I'll censor all the swear words. I'm saying this now, I haven't used anything today. I was on powerful antidepressants for more than 6 months. But these weren't just antidepressants. It was psychopharma that made me energetic. And when I tried to get off it twice, I thought I was going to die. I was lying there like a zombie. I've been off it for more than a week now. And When you realize that your business is the right thing, it gives me a high like. From Mephedroni, I just started talking about my business, and I'm already losing the ability to not get overwhelmed by words. At the beginning of the year, there were 10,000 in the database. On January 1st, there were 10,400. On April 9th, there were 20,000. On May 9th, there were 35,000. Is today June 5th or 4th? 5th. Today, June 5th, there are 53.5 thousand in the database. So we are building points. We are building points. And can you imagine for this audience, to whom I have been sincerely telling for 10 years what supplements to take and what to do? They would go and buy anything anywhere. For this audience, I am opening my own store at Bads.
100%. It's an awesome story and I'm ready to dive into it.
Money needed there.
Because I understand this story is long.
Yes. Why do we need money? Because I understand that all this is going into the long run, dynamic music. So I will be making my supplements for at least the next 5 years. If I know that I will be doing them for at least 5 years, why would I enter with just 1.5 million when I can go all in? Again, you understand how the price changes, how much the Chinese give, roughly speaking, for the same thing. How the control of production technology changes. It changes everything. My first supplement came out, LTA, no shaking at all. And I buy from them in quantities of, let me remember. In short, not much, not even in tons. The first batch is not in tons. 100 kilograms, 100 kilograms, then something like 500, then a ton. And I'm sitting there saying, listen, if it's this much, how long will it take? We were buying too quickly, so I feel uncomfortable with the big pauses. I said, let's buy this much right away. I said, there are 10 tons, I said. They say, well, we'll deliver it in 3 weeks at best, this and that. I'm sitting there and just ask off the cuff. I say, what if we order 1,000 tons? What happens then? They say, we'll bring it to you in Moscow in 2 days on a private jet. I'm sitting here thinking, the conditions. This is their normal capitalism, healthy person's capitalism. The conditions are getting better and better. I just sent my delegation there. They will be checking everything, seeing what everyone is offering, and then I want to make a heavy investment there.
No problem, I can organize the side.
Especially since you're a logistician.
I can organize the logistics side, I can handle the complete warehousing and distribution to stores. I have a contract there in one of the family businesses with Magnet and Piotrushka, and people will be able to drop them off directly in the store offline.
Oh, I haven't told you, I now have another business through a good person. In literally 2 weeks, or at most 3, our own water will hit the stores. And here's the most shocking thing for me, like, why do you open a restaurant? For me, it's that a person can come to the store and buy my water, just look at the bottle like this, and experience derealization. And here's what we get. Here we are, so cool, we've grabbed a piece of this life. And everyone lies when they say, oh, you think you'll get a lot of money, you won't know what to do with it. No, that's not true. You have to be an idiot to mess things up when you already have money and connections. You'd have to deliberately drink yourself into oblivion, smoke yourself to death, or hate your life. Overall, the hardest thing in life is to break through that initial barrier.
Yes, and to keep it.
Yes, I mean, as he says, when you have an investment portfolio of $100 million, you have to be a complete idiot to squander it. You might go a little into the red, you might go a little into the black, but overall, you stay afloat. And as a leader of people, with half of the audience being those who are just trying to make their way up, I really want to understand why you and I succeeded, while they haven't yet. Did you have any friends or acquaintances who were striving to succeed along with you? Or were you completely alone when you moved to St. Petersburg?
I was a loner from the very beginning, but that too is actually one of the key stories.
Why? Did it help you?
Yes, because you don't rely on anyone. When you understand that, for example, parental support can't invest money in your businesses or solve your problems. When you go out, purely alone in the field, you have to fight on your own.
Resource mobilization is underway.
Yes, first of all, you don't rely on anyone. And secondly, your brain functions to the extent that the question of survival arises. And I constantly create such conditions for myself, even now.
For example, I can fly economy. In the clean up or die section for a businessman.
Flying economy. Even now, even when you have a lot of businesses, a lot of directions, I still invest a lot in different areas. I constantly create a deficit for myself, a financial deficit, and there wasn't a comfortable means accumulating. Or yes, if I accumulate too much, I think, well, I can do nothing right now, and so on. And when you constantly have such a hustle, you need to find something there, urgently need to invest in this business. You need to section yuridud.
I like to tease our audience a little, yes. Well, I believe we have the right to, because we weren't born into ultra-rich or even just rich families. We achieved everything ourselves. We understand what 50,000 rubles means. Many people don't understand what it is at all. They think it's just a small amount, Sinasi. But we really struggled with it back in the day. So what is a comfortable? No, not comfortable. Rather the amount that makes you start feeling unsafe.
What do you mean by that?
So hypothetically speaking, to what amount would you need to lower it? For you to say, oh, I don't like this anymore. So in one of my main wallets, I have less than, let's say, $2 million. When I see the number 2, I start thinking like, damn, am I broke again? What the hell? I didn't understand like a la marina, like buy aluminum, something like that. So basically, that's what I formulated. For example, for many years, the minimum standard of living for me, below which I think is death, was 200,000 rubles. Anything below that is death now. I think for me, it's just death. In fact, I am dying, and I can't live. If I had less than $3 million, that's it. I am dying at that moment. My level? Well, I'm currently hovering around 10, but this year I want to reach 100. My goal this year is to hit $100 million, not in assets or real estate, but just plainly, like in Breaking Bad. Have you seen it? No.
Yes, I watched it.
Just like in Breaking Bad. Just put 100 million in the garage and look at it. Wow. What are you striving for now? What's your goal? You're not a billionaire.
Look, I have a billionaire in rubles.
No, not in rubles. Rubles are not interesting.
No, not in dollars yet.
Do you have a goal or ambition to become a billionaire? Or do you not think that way?
This year, my goal is to become a dollar billionaire. By 2025, I will be 25 years old on June 19th. My goal is to become a dollar billionaire. By the end of the year, you could say assets are 25%, 25, yes. I set this goal like 3 years ago when I was 21, 22.
What will make you a billionaire this year? Do you have an understanding? Company capitalization? Why are you a billionaire now, and what will change by the end of the year? What will change? What will be different? What decision will you make?
But look, when you are constantly increasing your assets, I didn't even do a recalculation of my assets.
Yes, that's true.
I need to, at the end of the year, sit down and recalculate everything and conduct an audit.
And then it turns out that you can have some extra room there.
Yes, because right now I live in such a way, by the way, you touched on the topic, how much the amount should be, that I need to have on the balance. Sometimes I lower it so much that I might have only 200,000 rubles in Sberbank, just so you understand. It's just that these are fundamentally different things.
You are a brave person. Let's reveal this. You can. Go full throttle.
Yes, I can fly, but do you know what the point is?
I don't recommend it. It's marked by the Ministry of Health. Smoking is harmful to health. Such investments are harmful to health. Done by professionals. Do not try this at home. Do not try this at home.
Yes, my portfolio is just so diversified, mainly consisting of various businesses, and it can be, for example, in goods. Imagine this situation. You currently have $2 million, and one of your businesses is a goods business. You know, if you order goods worth $2 million, in 3 weeks they will arrive and you will earn 8 to 10% on them. Yes, you are taking a risk, but with a 10% margin, you are just flying high. And you have all the risks, you have your own logistics, you understand that you definitely won't lose money.
99% probability of success.
Of course. And you just understand that when you have more than $1 million sitting idle, I actually worry that my money isn't working. When you are in business, especially, in a traditional one, you need to ensure that all your money is constantly in circulation.
You literally just described what happened to me 3 weeks ago. I'm just sitting there, I see this huge mass accumulating, and I'm thinking, what's the point of this? It should be enough.
Obviously, I won't risk large sums of money on a project new investors are getting into.
You've already brought iPhones from Hong Kong 50 times. What's stopping you from doing it with full control the 51st time?
Everything you have is insured. The chance of losing, it is almost zero.
So our model of a successful business is completely controlled risks. So controlled that you wouldn't even call it a risk.
100%, yes.
And there are people like Polanski who are more risk-taking, so sometimes, so to speak, they burn out.
Yes, but the reason I have so many businesses is that I have diversified so much that no matter what happens, if some businesses are struggling, others will thrive, and there will always be life.
Don't you get tired of having so many assets to manage? Don't you ever feel like just putting everything into one business and that's it?
For me, it's just the opposite. When it's just one thing, right? When it's just one thing, first of all, there's anxiety because I've seen so many entrepreneurs and business people who were moving in one direction, and then the geopolitical situation changed and their business was no longer needed by anyone.
Or the technological environment. There were films sold for, yes, from Kodak, for example, the same Kodak.
The guys just started one business, didn't diversify, then went bankrupt and were bought out.
They didn't invest in the logical continuation of their business. They could have invested in some patents for smartphones. I don't know.
You just need to always keep your eyes open.
I don't think that you've caught the god of the fence.
Yes, because when this beard ends, you'll go crazy and fall off.
It can be detached.
Yes, that's why you need to diversify.
When did you earn your first 100, 200,000 rubles? How old were you? 20?
Well, it was around 19.
How'd you make money?
Well, even from 18 to 19. So I was just talking about what I was doing. I worked for a month in this marketing company with direct sales, and I lived in a dorm. And when I lived in the dormitory, we once drank at night with some guys. It was 2 a.m, and we were sitting, drinking. And there was a student campus with 15,000 students living there, a huge student campus. And we're running out of alcohol. It's like 2 a.m. And I said, well, let's go to the store and buy it. They said the nearest store is a 40-minute drive from here. And this was SPBU, located in Peterhof. It's not in St. Petersburg itself, it's Peterhof. And it's a 40-minute drive to the nearest store. I said, so no one sells alcohol in your dormitory? They said, well, there was some guy, but he got caught and was kicked out. I said, well, there's my niche, so I'll take it up.
Damn, this business mindset is about vacuuming the space for shortages.
Absolutely. And I created a page and I was thinking, VK, yeah, how do I not get caught? I need to come up with a nickname so I don't have to tell everyone my real name. I start to remember the mobsters, Don Corleone, all those guys. I think I'll just be Don Gabriel. I create a page called Don Gabriel, write the number there, and someone bought it, and I just start. I go into the SPBU group and, like everyone's posts, add people as friends and send personal messages. Everyone who lives specifically in the dormitory. There was a separate group, and I remember the first call at 5 a.m, some drunk guy. First I went and bought this vodka. I borrowed 5,000 rubles and bought this vodka. And accordingly, my first call, some drunk guy at 5 a.m, Don Gabriel, hello, I need vodka, back and forth. I take it out, sell him the vodka, and the first one makes 200 rubles. And that's it, I started.
No, listen, you had already set up parallel imports back then, it turns out. I mean, as if geographical and legal sanctions were imposed. Gentlemen, you don't understand. It may seem like nonsense to you, but this is not manufacturing. I'll let you in on a secret. We have a communist legacy in people's minds. They think that anything that isn't production isn't business. Production without logistics support is useless. The largest business in ancient times was spices. And spices cost crazy money. Just crazy. It was the luxury of kings, and it was the luxury of kings not because the production of these spices was incredibly difficult. It was because of July 3rd. Can you imagine delivering something from China to somewhere in Portugal? By land, by sea, it doesn't matter how. It's a crazy distance, and these are crazy risks. They try to rob you at every stage. They try to tax you. And you have to ensure the safety of this entire distance. 10,000 kilometers, I don't know how much, 12 more. And because of this, their price was formed. Many people don't understand that if the price of oil rises even slightly, gasoline prices go up, logistics costs increase, and the prices of all products rise, essentially all. Production costs increase. Additionally, many are unaware that only about 5% of the electricity generated actually reaches the end consumer. The rest of the electricity, all the energy, dissipates before it gets to the end users. Therefore, this is the purest, most distilled business in a vacuum. Organizing a connection between the product and the person is what business is all about.
100%. And to see opportunities, yes.
Did you make 200,000 rubles from a 200 ruble bottle?
At my peak, I was selling 500 bottles a month. 500 bottles I had. Stocks, in short, buy 3 bottles of vodka, get the 4th one for free. Then I started renting out hookahs. I bought a PlayStation and rented out the PlayStation.
That's brilliant. Ahead of your time. What year was that?
2020. No, 2019, before COVID. That was really a cool business. Yes, and I was already making money back then. But then, by the way, people think that. When someone gets lucky, they keep going and everything gets better. Then there was a crisis. I can even show videos online later, so people, because they are seeing me for the first time, and many will now think that, well, when you mentioned that you achieved such success at the age of 24, for people it's just something unreal. They can't even imagine it in their heads. Therefore, we can insert photo and video tracks from different periods of my life. For example, when it comes to alcohol,
Did you document that for yourself?
I always just recorded. For example, I have a video.
This is your journal, so to speak.
Yes, I have a video from 2018 to 2019 when the superintendent, the cops, everyone basically burst in and confiscated all the vodka I was storing under my bed. And I opened this under the bed, and there's a bunch of vodka lying there. I'll show you the video later.
Let's do it. Look, it's lying there. Interesting. Look, let's do it.
Well, you search, right?
I'm not searching. Who's breaking our bed? And what's this?
What is this?
What is this even? Who broke this? So, they are taking away alcohol here, right? I see. Confiscation of alcohol from the room without the owners.
And here we have some alcohol. I want to go back as I look to take it from the room.
Alcohol without owners? Show me.
And in short, that was my first crisis. Like that, when everything was just taken away from me. I was in the holding cell for a while, and my fellow Azerbaijanis took me away.
You got stripped of your assets and what's it called? Let me think. How do I say this? To put it simply is simply, you experienced on a small scale what the biggest businessmen go through.
Absolutely.
The state has taken everything from you easily.
And you came to me, took everything, and even, damn it, kicked me out of the dormitory. Yeah. And well, what would 95% of people do in that situation? Well, that's it. They took everything from me. I'm leaving, going back to my city. Shame, and so on. But what did I do? So basically, the area was just fenced off. I started working on a scheme a bit. I found some guys who are registered in the dorm but don't actually live there. I told them, guys, I'll pay you 5,000 rubles a month and live in your room. I climbed over fences, made deals with the commandants. I gave them vodka and they drank my vodka. And I kept living there. Can you imagine? They kicked me out. Everyone there already hated me. The cops moved in there every 2 months. I moved from one place to another.
All that's left to add is that you bought them off with vodka.
Just so you understand, the cops didn't confiscate my first batch of vodka. They took it for themselves. I actually started talking to them later, and every time there were challenges, they would get me going and say, there's a challenge over there. We need to get out of there. And that's it. I continued trading and started making money from it. Somehow, I barely got out of that situation because they took a large batch from me at that time.
In which you were invested, to put it mildly?
Yes, the one I had invested in. And after that, I just started to see that I was already stagnating. What am I earning there? 100, 150, a month I am earning.
Did you ever feel like a superhuman among your acquaintances? This is not a provocative question. Did you realize that you were different already? Didn't you feel that their main problem was passing an exam? While your main problem was them showing up without warning?
It has always been like this. Even when I lived in my hometown, and for me, when I watched the Hutch, I never had any doubts that I wouldn't have a life like that.
At the very least, it's not that you want to be like him, but you want to be close to that lifestyle. That's what I want for the viewers.
Well, naturally, I already understood that I was different. They were all studying, drinking, and had nothing else on their minds. But I was selling, doing business.
And I arranged for them to get drunk.
Yes, I arranged for them to drink, and essentially I was creating the idea.
Just imagine how this podcast looks from the outside. An Azerbaijani and a Romanian are sitting and discussing how they got Russians drunk with vodka and made a fortune.
The most notable was a teacher, an Armenian, who taught history. He would buy 40 bottles of vodka at a time. He would get the entire dorm drunk.
Has he not engaged in distribution yet? No.
He was just drinking all the time. He didn't even attend classes, as far as I know. He was drinking in the dorm, and then he got expelled from there because he was just, well... What did you do after that? Right after... Exactly, immediately. After that, there was a situation, a kind of stagnation for me. I thought, well, I'm already earning. I thought I need to expand, go to other dorms. Basically, I found another dormitory that was there, found a guy who studies there, and suggested to him, saying, how about you sell my vodka there?
What are you saying, vodka? Damn it, it's like a caricature, you know, like the Rothschilds getting the simple Russian drunk. Want vodka? Take vodka. Yes, vodka, vodka. Sorry, please.
No, actually, I regret selling. But at that moment, when survival is at stake, you kind of engage in that business. I have different principles now.
Here is a very important point. Men like me, like my dear guest, have one specific trait: hyper-responsibility for their parents. At this age, we perceive our parents as if they are our children. We anticipated in advance that soon they would become elderly, they might get sick, it could be cancer or cardiovascular diseases, and none of our parents. Our marathon runners, and we sit down very strictly in advance. I'm not using this as an excuse for any actions that, well, I don't think you did anything wrong. What's the difference where they buy the dress from you or someone else? I don't see any difference at all.
Here, my fundamental approach to this has changed. I had such a situation. My father passed away in 2007, and I was essentially raised by a single mother. I have a younger brother and sister there, and I am the oldest in the family. When my mom was there working, she even, well, imagine she was looking after the kids and working at the same time. I constantly have this situation in front of my eyes. There was a time when my mom, from overworking, would faint. And this is deeply ingrained in me. When you have such hunger, you just...
It shifts moral boundaries.
100% yes.
Yes, you didn't do anything illegal, but what's the difference?
Well, there was some illegal selling kind of, yeah. Like, yeah, I wasn't dealing drugs or anything like that.
Like an industrialist, for example, who openly admitted it. Why do I find the word vodka funny? Because my first business in life was also related to vodka.
Really?
Well, everything is still connected in sequence. My very first business in life was organizing an out-of-town party in an American-style cottage, just the way they like it.
How did Elon Musk do it? Did he take money without any input?
Yes. And the most expensive expense item there was alcohol. So if I take 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and they, roughly speaking, give me 800 rubles for entry, they can't give more for objective reasons. And this just takes photos for us. I just approached my father with this question. I said, do you know anyone who works at a distillery or a liquor factory? He said, of course I do. And then some worker just brought me something. I'll tell you how much now. He just threw away 15 or 20 bottles of vodka. What in return? Give me 500 rubles. That's enough for me. I'm just telling you straight. Just telling you. So he somehow pulled it off with some scheme. I say, how can I talk to you? Give me 500 rubles, that will be enough. Or leave me one bottle, something like that. Song's there. And so, I broke even, ruble for ruble. And I realized that now I can optimize, understand, work on my brand, become recognizable, and rise from this. But I stopped it immediately. Turned me off. I didn't like the idea of being the center of a group of people who would be drinking next to me. Yes. And I somehow extended this quickly. And I instantly came up with how to apply this organizational talent in another way. And after that, the info business took off immediately. That's how it also played a role here.
Yes, and by the way, this is the right approach, that some people then dive headfirst into it. But those who have an understanding of some purpose in life, when you come out of a state of hunger, earn something, you start to think like, am I doing the right thing? Essentially, I am selling alcohol to people. Right now, I have a fundamental principle. I don't get involved in businesses related to bookmakers, casinos, alcohol sales, drugs, and so on. When people bring me these businesses, like when they tell me there's a casino, 2 years ago they offered me to get into a casino. Now it's worth around $500 million. I just turned it down. People there make crazy money. But for me, it's a matter of principle. I'm just a gambler myself. Once, when I came to Moscow after being in St. Petersburg, I lost everything I had in life. I even started playing on credit. I'm just a very risky guy. I realized I had $5,000 in my pocket, so I sat down to play with it. And there was a settlement at the end of the game. I lost those $5,000, and I didn't say that I had no money. I thought I could still buy my way out and win back. But in the end, it got so bad that I had to sell everything I had, and I still ended up in debt. Dagestanis and Chechens came to see me. They waited for me. Under my house, I got into the car, and they took me away. In short, there was such situation. And I was 19 years old when I was in Moscow.
Listen, here's the thing, you took your real tendencies, adventurousness, risk-taking, gambling, excitement, and without trying to block them or change yourself, you refined them to make them more or less adequate. By knowing your weakness in this area, you used it to essentially develop a business sense. You are essentially not an investor. You are a player making bets. That's the business mindset. And you are gambling. With it,
But I still participate in operational activities.
but the approach itself, businessmen are very different. You understand that there are those like Warren Buffett who has the analysis of a python. You invested there at an annual rate of 50 kopecks. That's about it. Okay, fine. Now I wanted to summarize this whole story. Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Why do we easily let go, adapt, and not hold on? This is a very important point. I recommend everyone listening to us to have this mindset. It's a position of abundance. In other words, when you don't believe that you are a talented person, when you don't believe that all roads are open to you, you hold on to what you have and you don't give it up for anything. When you already understand how life works, more or less, and you can handle things in various ways, why make it worse? It's the same with women. Basically, if you meet a girl who has psychological issues, even to the point of having a certificate from a relevant institution, why emotionally invest in her when there are millions of others just like her without mental problems? So I want to say to our viewers, gentlemen, and to many people who come to me, I used to conduct many more consultations, but now I don't do them as much. Since we last talked, I have conducted 5 or 6 such sessions in person and several dozen online. And before that, I had a period specifically in 2019 when I conducted 3-5 consultations a day at 10,000 rubles each. Can you imagine how intense the grind was?
But this, by the way, when we were talking about intuition, this comes from the fact that you practiced it, it enhances your intuition, and you just get to the point where you feel people, the audience, so well that you understand what to say at the moment and how to convey useful information to a person. Because you can have certain knowledge, but if you don't convey it correctly to a person, they will never perceive or understand it.
I forgot. How much did you pay me back then? 2 million rubles. You don't remember. 2. Yeah, I think so. Was it worth it? Tell me honestly. 100%. 100%.
And you remember, it was like this. I knew your consultation was 150. And it was in such a format that I kind of said, let's meet, make it scientific. And you kind of, we didn't communicate. It seemed like you weren't interested. And I suggested myself, I said, let's do 2 million rubles. Yeah, I'll come, we'll meet, we'll talk, at least for 2 million rubles.
Just like tricking a woman, it was definitely worth it. In a way,
you have no idea how much I've boosted myself. If you understood, for example, what was happening in my life, it gave me a huge boost. And besides, I shared this, I spread it out. And now a lot of guys, businessmen, dollar millionaires are subscribed to you.
Those people I was telling about on the podcast, everyone on the podcast, Right to Everyone. Yes, definitely, Wag. Actually, the main reason I was hesitant is because I don't like not creating value for the money. You told me back then that you don't want to. Take some resource and then, yes, I wouldn't be able to sleep. That's why I'm saying this. So what made me happy is that you implemented everything that was there. Because I understand that a businessman like you and me is a very rare type, it needs to be called by a separate word. We are actually not businessmen. One part of me is a businessman. We also want to succeed in all other areas of life that exist. Absolutely. Health, biohacking, women, networking, and doctors, everything. But generally, a businessman in Russia is someone who is only interested in money. You tell him to drink lion's mane mushroom to help his brain make better strategic decisions. They ask, drink what? A hedgehog, maybe a hamster too. And in the evening, I'll go to a restaurant and drink vodka.
Recharge with vodka?
He'll pour vodka without any questions. And that's why I was surprised. It was something new.
By the way, you said that correctly. I even thought about it just now. We are the people who strive for perfection. in everything. Whatever you do, even if I just went to play soccer with friends, I think to myself, okay, I played now. I need to become the best player on this field. How does this all relate to soccer? This is key, no matter what story. You find yourself in, we strive to become the best we can be.
There is a great ancient saying, and I will expand it further, that it is a shame for a man to live his life without ever seeing the peak development of his physical body. And so I will add, everything in general. Name at least one reason why you shouldn't spend your life becoming as smart and as beautiful as possible. There isn't a single reason for this.
This is essentially our purpose. When it comes to the meaning of life, I have thought about it a lot. So what is the meaning of human life? It is to become the best version of ourselves in order to push evolution forward. Because our key purpose, essentially for which we are born, is to create something. If, for example, there were no Einstein, if there were no Nikola Tesla, we, for instance, they essentially drive evolution. For example, he created something and we advanced 50 years ahead because of it. And we basically don't even understand or know how long humanity can live and what will happen in the future, what consequences might there be. Maybe even every year saved by someone, for example. Elon Musk is doing very cool things right now. We might be living in colonies on other planets. It's unclear what might happen to Earth. We can make such a contribution to life that it will be crucial for all of humanity. And precisely the fact that we are becoming better, that we are improving ourselves in any niche, contributes to the evolution as a whole.
I can immediately see the extract here. That unites us. A lot of things, but specifically here, and why such people become successful. It's long-term thinking. So you see your life not within the framework of your own life. You say, what is the meaning of my life? And you start talking about humanity. For most people, the meaning of life is also not bad, but it's just like a note in the margins. This helps, and why many people start making money very late, or never start making money at all, is because they never sit down and simply ask themselves, what about tomorrow? What about the day after tomorrow? And what will happen in 10 years? My father drilled this into my head. He told me a lot. My father used to earn very well. And then suddenly he stopped earning, completely stopped earning. And he kept telling me I didn't listen to him. And thank God I managed to hear him before he left. He told me many times, Arsen, please don't take what you have for granted. The fact that people listen to you, that you get paid, that there is the internet and there is electricity, don't take it for granted. Instead of just taking it, stabilize yourself with it. So, you never know. That's why you invest in different businesses. You never know what will be relevant in 10 years. Of course, maybe the day after tomorrow they'll invent jetpacks and the luxury car rental business will disappear because everyone will be on jetpacks. Well, essentially, yes. I'm writing this absurdly. Yes, I agree with you. This is long-term thinking. In general, what is our life really? It's just the passing of the torch. That's how they light the Olympic flame. Evolution, yes. This torch was passed to us. You look at it, it's beautiful, you like it, pass it on to someone else.
And we definitely need to ignite it more, to pass on more fire.
I simply wouldn't have survived. If medicine wasn't so advanced, I was born there, suffocated, and they revived me in the incubator and all that. In other words, I wouldn't have survived if those technologies had appeared 20, 30 years later, or if they hadn't been available in this city.
Just imagine the contribution we can make. And when people believe in it, that you can really, I have no doubt about it, that my actions can push evolution forward, that I'm no worse than Elon Musk, that I'm no worse than the top businessmen who are making a contribution. Because there are, for example, businessmen like the one who owns all the luxury clothes. Yes, he is just about capitalization, but what he creates, maybe from the fashion side, he somehow improves it. But I support those businessmen and entrepreneurs who not only focus on making money, but also bring something to the world.
Imagine, hypothetically speaking, sitting down and developing a chip that analyzes blood for hormones 24/7, and they show it to you in the app. Tough topic, and everything can be prevented. Where are the diabetic ones here? Where does the onset of diabetic disease in the world begin? It will be visible right from the very inception. Or, put simply, a man realizes that his testosterone levels are low, and this becomes his problem. Roughly 5-7 years after it first appeared. Can you imagine how much time has to pass and how many years I've already been sad, exhausted, and sleeping poorly?
A very cool idea. If implemented,
There are these patches, maybe you've seen them. They go on the triceps to monitor blood sugar levels. I recently saw this. So the story, right? A story. Yes, that's the kind of thing development is, where the hormonal background plays a role. And then you add a neural network that will analyze the forecast. Yes, things like that. Many people don't understand that money is money, but it's earned in different ways. And it leads to different outcomes.
And you can just...
That's how it is.
You can sell vodka and make $100 million from it. You can also be in a business related to artificial intelligence or something similar and make the same 100 million rubles. But here you are creating the opposite. The destruction of people, harm to people, while here you are moving. Humanity forward, evolution. And so whenever I choose a business, I always look at the direction in which I will be moving.
You know what I'd like to add here? I don't have a problem with this, but the viewers do. I explain many things for them. Many are sitting there thinking, well, of course, the person is cool, knowledgeable. You can see all that. What Elon Musk, he's really gone overboard. I had a podcast with Vadim where I said that success always starts and never happens without it, with an unreasonable confidence in oneself.
That's right, yes.
Absolutely inadequate self-confidence. Just like they mocked and laughed at Musk, all sorts of our space enthusiasts. They said, you'll be launching on trampolines. And now... So comparing yourself to Elon Musk is just as radically inadequate as Elon Musk saying, I will do this. I'm not saying that everyone who is inadequately confident in themselves will achieve success, but no one has ever achieved success by being reasonable. There are none? Absolutely. If you are reasonable, you will see too many obstacles, too many buts, too many breaks, and your whole mind will get caught up in this hypochondria. Like, oh, well, there's this, there's that, you know, but you need to be a bit of a fool. Russian fairy tales have something very unique encoded in them, something I haven't encountered in other cultures, that a fool always achieves success, because he doesn't see danger. Ivan the Fool.
Yes, that's the right approach. When I started opening different businesses, I realized that in any niche, I could reach any heights if I dedicated the proper time to it. And when you start treating mistakes and problems as your next step, you realize that a lot is connected with intuition. The more mistakes you make, the more your intuition improves, and the less likely you are to make those mistakes in your future steps.
I have an interesting question. Do you have any memorable screw-ups in business?
I had many screw-ups in various businesses.
Is there something instructive in this to share? Or is there nothing instructive at all?
No, why? Perhaps, for example...
That's where you made a big mistake and did something completely wrong. And now you don't do it that way anymore.
You know what? There weren't any really critical super mistakes.
Were they painful? Unpleasant?
Painfully unpleasant. They were mostly related to the fact that I trusted the wrong person, but I am analyzing why I trusted them. By the way, I also have this trait where I trust everyone at the beginning. I have 100% trust in everyone. Yes, 100% trust. And this on one hand is my problem, but on the other hand, thanks to this, you see opportunities. Yes, I don't miss opportunities. For example, another person who doesn't trust anyone, when they come to him with any business project, even if there are 10 and one of them is successful, he just listens to all of them and thinks it's all complete nonsense. And I try to trust the person. And only after taking some steps do I understand. My pain came from trusting the wrong person. This could happen in relationships, in business, or in any activity you're involved in. You trusted the wrong person. That's mainly what it is. I hired the wrong employee and entrusted him with certain responsibilities. By the way, this is one of the mistakes that I suffered from severely. I always thought that when hiring people for my company, there were some super top managers who would come and be able to manage all of my business. I've already tried 3 such teams. They drained so much money from me. I spent hundreds of millions of rubles on their implementation, on their software. And then when I realized that after 6 months, that I had just wasted 6 months. I should have been nurturing my own people, investing in those who work for me, in their training, in their development. And this is one of the mistakes that I remember right now.
Well, as they say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Yes, of course. For example, right now I have people working with me who have known me for 10 years. My main business partner, 2 main business partners, have known me for 10 years. Can you imagine the power of having a 10-year connection? That's real wealth.
Yes, when you have confidence that a person has come to you and told you something, it will indeed be as they said.
My chief assistant has access to all my assets.
I talked to him.
So, he has a salary, but at any moment he can cash out all my money. He can shut down all my bills, he can do everything, and he does nothing. Just because with him. Damn it, it's like robbing your own mother. Like, you're 15 years old, your mom has money in her pocket, you know about it, and you might even need the money, but it would never occur to you to reach into her pocket. Yes, the greatest wealth is deep emotional connections.
Absolutely. And this person, he came to you, he was following you, he wrote to you, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And that's an even greater connection, of course.
So yes, actually the coolest thing is they will, in Spain, where I constantly go for rehab, Dr. Bluvov taught me a brilliant thing. He says you should hire someone who barely manages the job and then help them grow into it. I said, I don't understand. Isn't it logical to take the one who cracks it like nuts? He said, you don't understand. The one who cracks nuts easily will always be looking around or even while sitting with you. And when you push a person to the point where they are barely managing, first of all, you will have friendship and connection. You will go through a certain path of interaction with each other. You will understand where your weak points are. You will realize what he poorly understands and what you poorly explain. And when he finally gets there, he won't need anything else in life. He will be in his place.
This is exactly about the fact that I was trying to find teams from outside. Instead of understanding that my employees, whom I can, who barely make it and sometimes don't, should be given the opportunity. And when they see that you gave them the opportunity to grow, that he was just an ordinary manager and grew into a leader, now managing an entire department. Yes, when he came in earning 50,000 and now makes 500,000 a month. He doesn't even see anything else. He doesn't even look around himself.
He will just simply name his son in your honor.
And there will be this connection. Because the most important thing is for people to have longevity, especially the key ones who are close to you. You, say 10 years. That's a very long time.
In a way, you and I are really just at the beginning of our lives, and it's dizzying. I'm just a little bit older than you, but for some reason, 24 sounds so... Soon I'll be 25, thank God. 24 sounds totally crazy. It sounds scary. And imagine, roughly speaking, that you have to live functionally. Considering modern medicine and your serious attitude towards your health, you have at least another 80 years of functional living. That means another... And you think you're 24 years old, but in reality, you're much younger. You don't remember the first 4 years at all. You slightly remember the next 5 years, you vaguely remember the following 5 years, and you remember the next 5 years well, but you weren't independent. Essentially, your adult independent life is only 6 years. 6?
Basically, yes.
Yes, that means 6 and 80. You need to live at least 10 more adult lives like the ones you've had. And how important it is to do everything perfectly and to do everything. I explained to many people I was recently offered a casino deal for the first time, and the amount was such that it really opened my eyes because they understood and saw the kind of response I get from my audience, and they immediately offered, roughly speaking, well, they expanded all the cavities. And only then the percentage, this fix was for me to get in, and then the percentage, I refused. And from this point of view, it seems foolish because it would not only solve all my business problems, it would solve all my life problems. I wouldn't have to work for the rest of my life after that. But why do I need this if I know what great future I want for myself?
100%. And for that, you really deserve respect, because when you truly come to this realization and confidently understand what you will have in the future, you simply don't need it.
Just imagine someone comes up to you right now and says, you know, suck a dick for $1 billion. No, $1 billion is of course extreme, but why? For 100 billion, there is no amount for which you are willing to suck a dick. It doesn't exist. 500 trillion, a billion trillion, a trillion trillion.
Because you understand that this won't improve the quality of life there.
On the contrary, it will get worse.
And that's exactly why, damn it, yes. So, these casinos, all these stories, and especially how much benefit you bring to people, even getting involved in this, well, it's just, you'll end up feeling weird about yourself.
I just read a comment under the video yesterday. With YouTube, with Laren, it's all very interesting. A guy writes, says, I'm a family man. I work in the police. I don't make millions, but I make enough to get by. And after this podcast, I'm getting up tomorrow morning and submitting my resignation. I need to live like a human being. I thought, damn, I saw the date in the stories. Can you imagine what that means? A person who works in the Russian police could be convinced to begin a different life.
You can't even imagine, really. I don't understand how much benefit you've brought to my life. And I understand that you bring value to someone. He's a dollar billionaire. He read, listened, and multiplied his capital many times over. Someone is just starting their journey, working as a courier at Delivery Club, and after listening to you, they simply quit and go on to do something else. You make such an impact on people's lives, and to trade it for some casino or something.
A subscriber contacted me. A 14-year-old kid made his first million rubles. How is that even possible? What is that? It's a joke. Earned 1 million rubles at 14. It's a joke. It's real, yeah? That's something. So now, yes, guys, gentlemen, those who are watching, please write to me about all your big successes because I really don't understand it. I even distance myself from it on purpose to avoid getting a big head. That's what I'll tell you. Honestly, I try. Like, you see, I don't even have a collection of reviews. I mean, in this business, reviews are always the first thing, like this, like that, but I don't have that button anywhere. Because if I start reading them now, I might not be able to handle it. But slowly, in small doses, I also need to take it in to understand. And yet, it turns out that in our case, and every businessman is unique in our case, what helped us break out of poverty into wealth was the ability to observe where there is a shortage. That is, to understand what can be replenished and who is willing to pay for it.
Always keep your eyes open, essentially, and always observe.
Opportunity can be everywhere.
Yes, when you are purposefully looking for an opportunity, you can almost always find it. But when you are just in the daily rhythm, in the routine of the internet and so on, they might constantly come by. The main thing is to stay alert and keep watching constantly. Observation is a very crucial and important thing.
If you asked me how many red cars I saw today, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But if I got $10 for every red car, I would be like, the main thing is to create motivation in your mind.
But here's the key advice I give to people. The first thing to do, if you are in a small town, even if you are in an average-sized town, whether you live in America or Russia, is to pick the most developed city and just go there, get any job you can.
A homeless person in the basement, a loader.
Yes, it doesn't matter at all. This will be the best decision of your life. Because just imagine, you would have lived, for example, 10 years in a city with a population of 200,000 people. You might have achieved success there, accomplished something, opened some businesses. But imagine, those same 10 years you lived, for example, in New York or Moscow.
In Miami, in Dubai.
Imagine how different your connections would be because you communicate with other people. How much faster your business would grow.
The same actions.
The same actions, but a tenfold difference. Yes, a tenfold difference. And you just, for example, you live 1 year in Moscow. It's like 10 years there. You're just wasting your time. So the key thing I recommend and what helped me in life is to move to a big city. Just take everything, screw it, work as a courier. Yes, it will be tough at first. You'll suffer a lot. You'll sit and cry, just like I did when I was really frustrated. Because nothing was working out for me. I had to go work somewhere, do some crappy job, and it was really embarrassing for me. But I just held on with my character and didn't go back to my hometown, even though there were so many opportunities and so many problems. Just believed. And that's the key. You move to a big city, and can you at least endure for half a year? Live there, try to survive, work somewhere, and you will understand how much you have improved in this city. So the first thing I would recommend is a big city.
I want to add something very important here. First of all, it would be truly difficult. So you need to get in the right mindset. Look, we're talking here in hindsight, we made it, we succeeded. You need to understand that for each one of us who succeeded, there are 10 million who didn't. You will have to fight there. You will have to dig your teeth into the concrete to make sure this big city doesn't push you back out. Yes, so don't. Expect that you just need to sit and wait for 6 months. It's 6 months of being, fighting, struggling, searching, watching, talking, asking, demanding, standing in line. That's how it is. That's how these 6 months have been. The second thing I want to add is that an illusion came to my mind. You can be the most perfect seed in the world and have all the most beneficial nutrients, but if you are in barren soil, you won't grow.
100%, the right word, yes.
And here we need to find where to plant ourselves. I heard another cool phrase from American business coaches. Often in life, it seems like we've been buried and forgotten, But in reality, we've just been planted in the ground.
Absolutely.
And I want to say that, in fact, moving to another city is a specific case of creating a favorable environment around yourself. My business success started from something entirely different. It didn't start when I moved to Moscow for the info business. It began when I was 16 years old. I asked my best friend to get his father, who was an investor in one of the best fitness clubs in Samara at the time, to give me a membership card. And so I started training there and everything. And I went to this fitness club for the first 6 months for free. Then I started paying. And during those first 6 months, when I was there in the evening, at night, I was training, there was some guy standing there, a man, probably less than 30 at the time. So around my age, and he sees that I'm working so well on the bag, on the punching bag. He comes up and says, explain it to me, show me. I'm like, sure, I'll show you. And like I was giving him all the orders, we started talking and so on. And this person, he became a turning point in my life. He was my first mentor. In life, he just started taking me with him and explaining how life works. So you just go to some business, to some negotiations, which is really cool. He took me to work there, to fetch, to bring, to hand over. He explains to me saying, say this, and do you see why? You didn't get approval. You didn't do it right. You started pushing the wrong books. I was sitting and thinking, damn, if I hadn't begged to go to that fitness class, where would I have met him at all? So the very fact of being in this place and still having the book he gave me, The Art of Managerial Struggle by Vladimir Tarasov, I reread it every year. I don't understand, really. Next year, I'll read it again, and it will be deeper than it was the last time. And I also heard a cool expression. Where does success come from? You need to find the mud like a piglet and wallow in it. And you also need to find a successful place where successful people already are. This is something that escorts understand very well. You can't find a rich sugar daddy at McDonald's. Of course, we need to go. They know the right restaurants, they know the right brands, In general, we should learn from escorts. Yeah, well, their behavior model is functional, just functional, objectively, functional. Yeah, exactly. Therefore, you need to understand this principle. It's pointless to look for a good wife on the garden ring. You can find one, and I'm sure there are some. But why bother if you have Ivanova? Yes, the city of brides. That is basically, you need to understand where everything is located. And for example, opening a restaurant in the center of Moscow right now might be a good idea for someone. But if you want rapid and quick wealth, why?
All of Moscow is in restaurants. You don't need to do that, of course.
Of course.
And this is not a profitable story at all. It's more about the brand.
So right now, do you know Torbasov?
Yes, I know.
He's now selling the computer club I used to go to at night after podcasts. The one he set up in Dubai.
Yes.
In short, in Dubai, I realized that I got a job for the first time in my life. For 2 weeks, I went to a podcast every day and sometimes twice. I had 2 podcasts a day. And I'm like, me and Alexander, my friend, we're talking like, damn, listen, I think I got a job. I actually get up, just get dressed, shower, shave, and go to the podcast. And to relieve the tension, I started going to a computer club.
Play Dota.
Yes, exactly. So someone wrote something like Arsen goes to the computer club. He asked himself, who is this guy? And then I found out that he was selling it. And I was like, damn, should I jump in? Cool story. Arsen Markarian bought himself a computer club in the center of Dubai, there on the marina. And then I found out the price. I found out the return on investment. And I think, personally, it's such a waste for me.
Absolutely. There are some really profitable stories out there that you can make money from. Of course.
But let's not make it look like I kicked him. A 3-year payback period is not bad.
Yes, not bad.
There are things with a 10-fold return on investment.
The restaurant needs 3 years to break even.
I'm telling you, it's not bad. It's not bad, but I can tell you, for example, but when you personally have access to things that pay off 10-fold within 6 months, that's right.
That's right. That's how it works. You understand that investing there now, like 6 grand there, I don't know, he's selling $6 million or something for 3, I don't know, something like that. Yeah. You understand that, for example, my business is related to distribution. From one shipment with a monthly turnover, I can earn from 7 to 15% per month on the invested capital. But just think, if you earn an average of 10, that's 120 annually. In 3 years, you'll earn 360%. That's already reaching the level of MMM.
That's when you realize this is the level MMM already here.
Yes, and by the way, compound interest really works wonders when you invest. Warren Buffett talks about this a lot.
It hit me hard when I realized I was just sitting there, and for me, the experience of planting teachers was very useful. It gave me a very harsh reality check. They locked me in a room, a black one where you can't see anything, and hit me on the head with a stick asking during the trip, like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I realized personally I had this problem. I don't know how relevant it is for you. I don't know how relevant it is for other entrepreneurs, businessmen. I realized that before I act, I just don't ask myself how much energy this specific hole requires. And if it gives more in another place, that is, for example, I have some service or product through an affiliate program and I advertise it. I don't say it's useful. I love it. And it, for example, brings me 200, 600,000 rubles a month. And I'm like, okay, I'll open another direction like this, but I just don't want to name specific things to avoid offending anyone. Let me try to formulate it. Look, for example, I'm sitting and thinking, okay, I have a female audience. I need to work on the female audience too. It exists. You need to work on it. But in reality, it is for hundreds of people. Yes, I sit in front of hundreds of people, conduct live broadcasts, and speak at the same time. So why did I start growing? In geometric progression,
You have started to focus in the right place.
I stopped doing anything except increasing the number of subscribers in the database. That's it. I don't do anything else. Why should I stress and struggle, fishing for grains of women like gold in a river, when I am the strongest male influencer in Russia? So I formulated this mistake for myself like this. Just because this opportunity exists, it doesn't mean you need to take it. It's like collecting bottles on the street. Well, you can also turn them in. You see a bottle, pick it up and sell it for 15 kopecks. In reality, while you spend time and energy on that, you're missing out on the most important things.
100%. And when you are choosing these niches to enter, like how it happens with me now, I immediately start estimating how much personal time and focus I will need to dedicate to it. If it's a business that brings in up to $1 million a month, for example, I understand that even spending 10% of my time on it would simply be impractical. And if we talk about constant focus, then naturally it should be on the niche that you understand and want to develop in.
Look, I just remembered what I wanted to tell you. My brother Armin gave me a brutal reality check. I have two products that don't bring in much and don't sell well, but I think they are very useful for affiliate marketing. One is a special mouth guard and the other is a special attachment for Alexiev's shower. They are incredibly awesome.
I have both, by the way.
Do you enjoy being with them?
Yes.
How can you shower without Alexiev's shower? It's just stupidity. It's stupidity, really. But people don't buy it. They just don't understand. I write to these guys saying, sell me a huge batch worth millions and I will distribute it myself. Do you know what they tell me? No. I ask, why? They say, we want to sell it ourselves. Damn it, I'll sell everything. I'll buy you out. I mean, not buy and pay. I'll buy you out. Just give it to me. No. And then something happened to me, Armin says to me. He hears all this from the side. He says, Arsen, are you okay? I say, what do you mean? Have you seen my hustle at Grint University?
Yes, I saw it.
The Institute of Remote Professions. Yes. Do you know how much it brought me?
No, I don't know.
Well, look here. How much?
300.
Well, look, the reason I almost missed out on luck is that I switched to dollars. That's it.
Yes.
Yes, look, and we were just chatting. He says, how much did this bring you? I say 200,000 rubles. He then says, you have now launched Grint University. 2.2. 22 no, $1 million in 3 days. 3 days. 3 days. $2.2 million. Are you out of your mind? If you spent all this time pushing these two things, imagine how much it would have given if you had invested it here. I understand that I only have the basics, Green University, and making strategic decisions for developing my external internet presence. I don't do anything else anymore. I don't care about any affiliate programs. I don't care about any business topics. You can write whatever you want. So people write to me saying, let's make a computer game based on your wishes. I'm ready to make a movie about you or something else. Guys, everything that isn't here is complete nonsense. I mean, I imagine that I was sitting with my resource, sitting and thinking, I don't know, hypothetically speaking, about my potential to grow the audience, the community. I sit and think there, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should get some kind of... I deleted it from my mind. In general, everything is insignificant compared to the increase in quantity. That is, any additional income for me is meaningless, no earnings. A guy wrote to me, I work in oil in Saudi Arabia, this and that, invest here and there. Very interesting. For any other person, it would be happiness. I don't need this. I have the craziest business model in the world. I mean, this potential is off the charts. And accordingly, the Green University base and supplying the base with your own products, water additives,
By the way, this is the right approach. You have your income set up, but you haven't figured out where to reinvest that money.
Yes, everything should go there.
And the point is that you don't invest in these computer clubs, but rather look within your own business for ways to create and enhance value.
And why didn't I want to go there? Because instead of thinking about the result, I think in terms of I need to be a grown-up guy, I need to have real estate, I need to be grounded.
This is all old stuff.
These are just checkers, but you need to invest in the journey, not the checkers. What do you want to convey to our viewers? One last piece of advice from you. Actually, imagine you are addressing your 18-year-old self who just moved to St. Petersburg.
What advice would I give myself? Yes.
Because people like us are watching.
First and foremost, I would tell myself that I made the right decision by moving. I would tell myself, Hasan, you're going to have a tough time now, but you just have to keep pushing through no matter what, and don't look back. Imagine that everything from your past life in your small town is just gone. You have no way to go back. You chose this path. You stepped onto it. So fight, battle like a warrior, and move forward. Never give up. That's the key advice I would give. Just keep boosting your self-confidence. That's also something that helped me. Why do I now have such a strong belief that I am better than Elon Musk? And others, and I sincerely believe in it. I have zero skepticism. It sounds kind of funny to them. It sounds funny. Over time, they will see the results, they will see the businesses when I become a dollar billionaire in Forbes, and then they will start to accept that I can achieve something. And later, when you start to surpass them, it becomes a stage of admiration.
First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win.
It's about building self-belief and believing no matter what. Because everything is real, everything is possible. Just take my journey 4-5. Years ago, I couldn't even imagine that I would be here in Paris.
Imagine showing what you have right now to the guy in the green delivery club jacket. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine it.
I could never have imagined that I could now, well, I am now living. Essentially, in terms of expenses, the life of a dollar billionaire. I don't even know how much more I can grow or what else I can spend on. Like, I can easily fly on a private jet, I can easily rent the best real estate and travel on yachts. And I couldn't imagine such a life. I thought I would live like this for 35 or 40 years, but living like this for 24, I couldn't imagine. 24, I couldn't even
I've seen a lot. I've witnessed many things in life, and you're really moving hard. This is the level where Arsen Markarian was shocked. What is he doing? I would add, what else? Move and act as if you received a letter from the future saying that you succeeded.
That's really cool.
When I was 19, I wrote myself a letter from the future, something like this. I wrote, damn, you're awesome, you made it. I didn't believe it, of course, it was difficult, but there's this kind of rushing ahead. Gentlemen, today we spoke with Hasan Mustafayev, a serial entrepreneur, a handsome man, a businessman, and a base officer. I will put it as correctly as possible. Here is a person who doesn't understand. He would say that the second Elon Musk, but I will say that Elon Musk is. It turns out that Elon Musk has been the second Hasan Mustafayev all this time. See you soon. I was happy to chat with you. Let's work, brothers. Well, awesome, right?
Awesome, right? But honestly, they won't believe it.